Hi everyone, it's me, Rivio, and welcome to the third episode of Listen and Learn. Today's podcast is about reflecting on the grading system since we've been in the online environment. We are joined by Jamila and Kara speaking on their experience thus far. This is a continuation from the last podcast, so make sure to check that one out first. So, since our environment has completely changed, what are some things that teachers have done that have helped you grow in the online environment?
Them having the time to work with us longer after class, I think that's awesome. When it came to being in the building, there's always stuff keeping me busy.
Yeah, I think the extra time that we have to go and talk to our teachers is good. I've also found that some teachers are better than other teachers when it comes to teaching in an online format, which is to be expected. And particularly teachers have had a really rough time with that kind of scheduling and fitting that time in to make it work.
The additional support or even having conferences really helps with my learning personally from my experience. So in the class itself, take away the additional support time. Is there stuff that your teachers do, even just organizationally speaking? Do you feel like there's something that they do that definitely helps you out, especially in the online environment?
When they summarize what we're doing before they start teaching, it helps me focus on what we're learning, and I can easily write my notes on what we're doing in the class that day.
Again, the online format's really difficult in comparison to in-person school, which I'm sure is partially because it's what we're all used to. One thing that is good that happens in the online format on the teacher's end is student participation. Some teachers, not others, but as a general consensus, it's really good when teachers kind of say, like, okay, this person, do you have anything to add on this? Or this person, can I hear what you have for this answer? Kind of getting that student participation. It really helps with keeping kids engaged in what's going on, and because I've found that a lot of kids will say like, oh, I just slept through this class. We didn't do anything. But at the end of the day, that really takes away from your time of learning. That takes away from the fact that it is still school, even though it's online and less rigid in that sense.
Yeah, I agree with that. I feel like for the classes that have more student participation, I'm definitely more engaged in because I always have to be ready in case the teacher randomly calls on me. But I do have a class where the participation is kind of low. What would you guys recommend for both students and teachers where there isn't much engagement?
When there isn't much engagement, I definitely say that just finding an environment that works for you and an environment in which you can efficiently learn in is crucial to doing online school.
What else do you guys feel helps with engagement?
When the teacher makes a paradex or or sorry, we watch a video on the subject we're learning of the day, that makes me more engaged because instead of just hearing them talk for like 30 minutes, we're hearing something, we're watching something. It's very interesting.
When those kind of things are incorporated into learning, it makes it feel more active in a sense. I'm not sure if that makes total sense, but for lack of a better term, it makes it feel more active learning in the class.
My history teacher really likes to use Peer Deck, and sometimes we will have that fun day where we do Kahoots and on the different history topics we were going on for that week, and that's just fun because I like those competitive games we'll have on Fridays. It's just a nice way to end the week and just keep on learning in a fun way.
And that also gives kind of a hands-on learning, even though it's not literally
Hands
hands-on.
on.
Yeah. But it's a good way to kind of get that factor back in there since it's really difficult to get that in an online format where no one's in person, no one can literally hold things and move things around. Participation in the sense of, hey, write this down or make me a drawing of this, make me a mind map. All of those things are ways that teachers can use to get students to engage in that kind of learning sense.
Yeah, I completely agree. I have a teacher who just uses normal presentations and one who uses the Pear Decks, then I'm definitely more indulged in the learning process when it comes to the one who uses Pear Decks because it's interactive. Like every other slide we type or we draw or write something, and I feel like I'm able to pay more attention because I'm engaged more and I am wanting to participate.
When it does come down to participation in the sense of, hey, are you engaged in what we're doing right now? Or, hey, are you paying attention? I find that a lot of kids that I've talked to about this have struggled in the online format, just because for a lot of kids it's just not the way that they learn. A lot of kids need that in-person interaction with other people, with their teachers, and in an online format it is really, really hard to get that. So if there were a way to kind of describe the comparison between the Pear Deck to actual in-person school, what do you think are some pros and cons of each one?
I feel like it definitely depends on your class environment, both online and in person. For example, if you think about in person with the classes that may be more rowdy, you may not want to participate as like because everybody else is already loud. Or I feel like with Pear Deck, every time I get a voice and I can say something, whether my teacher wants to say it or not, but I'm always able to give what I feel on the topic.
I definitely agree with what Mia said. I feel like I not talk a lot more, but I put my voice out more about what's going on. And in class, in person, I wouldn't talk as much as I would put a comment about something. I think when it comes to just being online, you have that like more security of saying what you're thinking, because when you're in person you kind of have like that little anxiety in your head. You're a little nervous about
Yeah.
what if someone laughs at me if I say this. I don't want to sound stupid or
Uh-huh.
anything like that. I just feel safer saying what I want to say.
No, I completely understand that. In-person school, you see everybody around you and you're just thinking, you start to second guess yourself when you raise your hand. You're like, oh, well, is this answer really correct? That person over there raised their hand. I'm going to put my hand down because I don't want to get judged. So,
Yes.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I tend to be shy, especially more of the AP GT classes, because sometimes I feel like I'm on the lower end. So when it's the Pear Decks and I can just say, and it can be anonymous, it's very relieving. About students who kind of crave that interaction in person, well, what tools or what would you recommend to them in the online environment?
something that you could do in an online format or an in-person format is study groups and kind of finding people in your classes who you can rely on to ask questions. In online, that's definitely more difficult than it is in person since you can't really see the people.
I really like the idea about study groups because I wish I could talk to the students in my class so I can get some assistance on some things. But
So, to wrap things up, what is your general consensus with the grading system online? What are your thoughts on the pass fail system versus grading for accuracy?
The grading system online does a lot of it has a lot of kind of like the pass-fail system, and I find that that's good in some cases, but not in others. And I know that I have one teacher who does it, she utilizes it really well. What she'll do is she'll have assignments that are similar to busy work, not really busy work because you're still learning new subjects, but it's not something that's like a test or like a final project. Those assignments will be pass-fail, whereas the ones you're being more critically graded on are graded for their actual values in percentages, and that kind of weighs into your grade more so than those other smaller assignments would. So I found that that's a really good way to incentivize just learning as a whole.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think that the teacher who's able to do the ones that are pass fail are called formative assignments, and having the pass fail on those types of assignments are really beneficial because you're still going through the learning process then. And to have pass fail on everything, it's okay in some cases, but I truly feel like it's most beneficial when you're going through the learning process.
Couldn't have
I
said it
agree.
better.
I hope they bring that when we go back into regular in-person learning.
Yeah, because it definitely incentivizes us to pay more attention to actually learning. And yeah, we'll prepare much more so for those like final projects, those final tests, but we'll have learned the material better, so it's a lot less stress.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's a wrap. Special thanks to Jamila and Kara for their participation, and thank you for listening. Stay on the lookout for the next podcast.